Before I start, spoiler warnings for a whole lot of shows and movies listed here, and some trigger warnings too. What is up my valid peeps, Kadian here. Today marks 4 years since I returned to making videos here, and for the celebration, I just wanted to ramble a bit about media and characters in media of recent years, particularly children's media, and talk about why they're not only important to me, but why it's so important to me that the struggles their characters go through exist for such a wide and impressionable audience. We'll begin with what most of y'all come to this channel for, Tokusatsu, and in this video I'll be covering 3 seasons, the first of which is Osama Sentai King-Ohger. This line from Himeno in episode 3 was a very good one and really resonated with me the week the episode came out. I had just told my parents I'd been on HRT for 6 months without them knowing, and they initially didn't take it well, so it was a line that really helped ease my stress following it. It's also such a great message to send to kids, especially young girls who are often forced to act a certain way in society. That it's okay to be selfish sometimes, especially when it comes to caring for and looking after yourself. Definitely something I've taken on board as someone still slowly learning to put their own well-being first in life. Then even earlier in episode 1, Gira's monologue before first becoming Kawakata-Ohger was absolutely fantastic, very much one with an undertone of being anti-genocide. The truth of the human-Bugnarat conflict as revealed in the mid-season finale paints themes of colonialism and genocide, and this is further reinforced in the second half of the show with the introduction of the true main villain, Dr. Dujardin. The Kings' stand against such would make it easy to say what side of history they would stand on in our world, and hell, even one of their actors has. I could go on further about this, but honestly it would be more worthy of a video of its own in the future. That being said though, of all of the 8 seasons of Super Sentai I've seen to completion in my now 10 years of being into Tokusatsu, King-Ohger easily takes the top spot of them all as my favourite. We'll return to Toku a bit later on in the video, but next up is LEGO Ninjago Dragon's Rising. There's 2 characters I want to talk about here, and the first of them is Sora, specifically her in Season 1. I briefly mentioned her a bit when I created my Ninjago KPDH entry, and this video by BendoBricks does a much better job of explaining her character than me, but simply put, her parents believed in their society's fascistic empress even more than her, even after Sora exposed the empress and everyone else turned on her. The sort of storyline Sora had for other characters in past children's media would normally end with the parents realizing their mistakes and the child reconciling with them. But the fact that the writers of Dragon's Rising had the guts to make Sora's parents double down on their terrible behaviour was genuinely astounding, and sends such a powerful message to the audience, not just kids, but adults like me. If my Ninjago KPDH OC wasn't any indication, I want to adopt Sora so badly, but I love that she's made such a wonderful found family with the ninja. After Season 1 ended, I broke down for a good bit because of how much I resonated with her character and her struggles. While her parents aren't exactly like my own, I do have my fair share of issues with mine, and they can drive me up the wall sometimes. Dragon's Rising Season 1 was truly the anti-fascist cartoon I had no idea I needed. While not as strong of a resonance with me, Lloyd is another character whose struggles resonated with me closely, specifically in Dragon's Rising Season 2, Part 1. BendoBricks has done a great video talking about this, but Lloyd's initial struggles with the visions he now faces as a result of being infused with Source Dragon energy make for a very strong analogy to mental health issues such as anxiety and intrusive thoughts. And it's all handled so incredibly well. Yet again, this is such a great message to send to the audience, both kids and adults, and as someone who struggles with such mental health issues, this arc of his means so much to me. Not an analogy I realised till after finishing the season, but still one I love nonetheless. What Mashiro Ninjago Cure Prism of Hirogaru Sky Precure lacks in self-confidence, she more than makes up for in being incredibly sweet and kind-hearted. Her development throughout the show really touched my heart, but it's a later episode in the show, specifically episode 43, I want to talk about here. Battlemonda, a villain general from earlier in the show, is forced into turning himself into a monster by the current main villain, Spearhead, to prove his worth to their cause. Empathizing with the turmoil Battlemondo was going through, and opposing Scarehead's idea of powerlessness equaling worthlessness, Mashiro tells him that worth is something that no one can decide but the person themselves. This message breaks through to Battlemondo, and he is returned to normal following a fight with the Hirogaru Sky Cures. This episode was one I watched at a time my own self-worth was very low due to a recent breakup, so it was a big help for me and made me love Mashiro even more than I already did. Now at the halfway point, the second of 3 tokusatsu seasons I want to talk about is Kamen Rider Gavv. A month and a half following the ending of the show, it still means so much to me. I've talked a great deal about why I love episodes 8 and 36 earlier this year, the latter being such a diamond in the treasure chest of a season, the whole of which had a plethora of great lessons to offer the audience. Episode 5, very early on in the show, had Shoma realised that the abuse he faced from his Granute family wasn't his fault, which was so incredibly cathartic given the horrible mishandling of the end of Neon's character arc a couple seasons prior in Kamen Rider Geats. Episode 22, when Sachika talks to Shoma after finding out he's half Granute, was honestly super heartwarming. Very reminiscent of someone coming out and Sachika just being so accepting of him. Episode 28 was a doozy. Hanto's breakdown following the revelation of the truth behind his mentor's death, and Shoma comforting him, telling him the manipulation he faced from Suga wasn't his fault, was a punch in the feels for me, given an experience I had at work last year. Then the ending with Hanto riding on Shoma's back and saying he likes him, and the way it was said making no room for a heterosexual explanation, I just loved that some queer kids probably saw that and felt so seen and safe with that line. To quote my good friend Valentine on that scene, I love shipping, I love love, I love crack ships. But there is nothing more important to me than knowing this show would make even one kid feel less alone or scared. Beyond episode 36 is episode 46, at the end of which, following a near-fatal attempt to take down Boka Jaldak on his own, Shoma made the choice to put his own happiness first and stay in the human realm with Sachika, Hanto, and Lakia. I cannot even begin to count the number of times I thought about wanting to hug him. He really needs it after all the trauma he's had to go through. That theme of happiness and finding your own is a core one to this show, one that really takes center stage in the debut of his amazing gummy form. Shoma's determination to find his own happiness literally sets his fighting spirit ablaze, allowing him to execute pyrokinetic attacks thanks to the forms Gotchizo made from consuming gummies and rocks simultaneously, human and Granute food respectively, symbolizing his duality as a human-Granute hybrid. Ultimately, as him and Hanto say, you shouldn't live for anyone but yourself, what makes you happy isn't for anyone to decide but yourself, and no one has any right to stop you from finding that happiness, least of all those in positions of power. Speaking of those in positions of power, I do have a brief bit to say about Boka Jaldak. While he isn't my favourite rider villain, he's definitely up there with the best of them. Some of the things he said and what other characters said about him as the president of the Granute Realm painted a truly despicable picture of him. Like, an old fart who's not so popular with the common folk, put into power by his rich buddies and is on excellent terms with the police. Yeah, I can't possibly think of anyone in real life right now who's like that. None at all whatsoever. Rewatching the final 3 episodes of this show for this video definitely gave me some good notes, some of which I put into this video, but also some I want to save for a future video too. That being said though, of the 9 seasons of Kamen Rider I've finished over the past decade I've been a Toku fan, Gavv has by far been my favourite one. Bakurage Sentai Boonboomger is the 3rd and final Toku season I want to focus on for this video. While it's a great season overall, the final arc of the show is where I want to put the focus. It's not a perfect final arc, but it's a pretty damn good one, and analogies to the effects of fascism and capitalism can definitely be made. The final arc of the show revolves around a global takeover by the Hashilians and ISA, spreading propaganda that paints the Boonboomgers as enemies of the world not to be trusted, and the Hashilians as merely misunderstood. This control even extends to the police, and the Boonboomgers Boom Black, police officer Aksei Joe, quits the police following a very powerful speech of his ideals, refusing to not help people who are screaming for it, even if it means the history books paint him and his Boonboomger teammates as being wrong, a sentiment shared by them. Given the fascism that's going on in America right now, Joe's speech is especially powerful, and it was especially felt by my friend Valentine here. This Tumblr post from them on this lives rent-free in my head, not gonna lie. In regards to the capitalism side of things, the Hashilians' deal with the ISA has one demand: that the status quo of Earth must be maintained, i.e. none of the planet's issues such as war, poverty or hunger are to be fixed. This is to keep the screams producing the Hashilians' fuel source, gasoline, going, and by extension keep their leader, Wild Spinder, going. In his words, make him immortal. To compare things to our world, as long as the problems we face are never fixed, war will continue, poverty and hunger will increase, and the rich will only grow richer, which is why they should be eaten. In the end, a resistance forms, starting with some kids that Joe helped out in an earlier episode, but spreading to the rest of the public after the true terms of the deal between the Hashilians and ISA are leaked, giving the Boonboomgers the strength they need to take down Spinder for good. Much like with King-Ohger and Gavv earlier in the video, I could go into even more detail about this, but it would be more worthy of a video of its own in the future. And we've still got 2 pieces of media left to cover, so let's move on. The penultimate topic of this video needs little introduction: K-pop Demon Hunters. This movie has been an absolute smash hit. It's got great songs, a great story, fun characters, and a world which I'm all very interested to see more of, along with an absolutely bustling fandom. Amongst all of that though, it makes commentary on the K-pop industry, something which I was admittedly unfamiliar with before my first watch of this film. The main thing which drew me in though was the story of Rumi, lead singer of Huntrix and the movie's main character. Her story is a very strong queer allegory. Being a human-demon hybrid, she was forced to cover up by her mentor and former demon hunter Celine from a young age, and the search has a lot of shame in and hatred for that part of herself. Their confrontation at the film's climax really hit deep. It really made me despise Celine for how she treated Rumi, and made me want to hug Rumi so badly.
Why couldn't you love me? I do! All of me!
For me in particular, I related especially strongly to this scene in regards to my experience of being neurodivergent. Huntrix as a group hunts and kills demons in order to protect the world and strengthen the anti-demon barrier known as the Honmoon. But Rumi hides her half-demon side from her bandmates Mira and Zoe, and can't fully be herself around them. Rumi's story is one of self-acceptance, and by the end of the movie she's accepted her half-demon heritage, and so have Mira and Zoe. And the lyrics of What It Sounds Like fit into this really well too. It's a message that I think was communicated beautifully, and much like fellow half-human Shoma's story, is one that is sorely needed in the times we live in right now. I'm so incredibly happy that a movie with a story like this is so popular, one that can be enjoyed by people of all ages, including its target audience of kids. Last and certainly the most recent is the 2025 Superman movie, which was a major inspiration for this video even existing in the first place. So, before first seeing this, I hadn't seen a Western superhero movie in the cinema since 2023 with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I felt Western superhero movies had taken an unrecoverable dip in quality, until I saw 2025's Superman. This movie is the definition of hope, and with it carries a very pro-human message. Even though Superman's not originally from this world, he just feels so human and relatable, and nothing exemplifies that more than his speech to Lex Luthor near the end of the film. The movie shows the power of kindness and just being a good person, and even though it was written well before the Gaza genocide became public knowledge, it's very clear what side of history this Superman would be on, made even more clear by the film's central conflict involving Baravia and Jarampur. This film resonates with many of the values I hold dear, and as it says, kindness really is punk rock. In regards to what kids can learn from this, even though the film is rated 12A, PG-13 for y'all in America, I have definitely seen people post online about going to see the film with their kids and said kids enjoying the film. and it definitely teaches a lot of good values. All these characters and pieces of media I've talked about in this video have really helped to cement in me one thing above everything else. Media for kids being well written and containing important lessons is absolutely essential and is just as important as those qualities being present in media aimed at adults, if not even more so. It's the biggest reason I hate slop made for kids. It isn't going to aid in their growth in the slightest, it's going to actively hinder it, and that's not what they deserve. Kids are so incredibly impressionable and smarter than we think. They deserve to have heroes they can look up to, learn from, and aspire to be like. Heroes like the ones I've talked about in this video. Heroes that I often wish I had growing up, who as an adult have really helped to affirm my worldviews that I've had to correct following my centrist upbringing. The world we live in today, truthfully, is a scary one. A fascist dictator in control of the most powerful country in the world. Bigotry more rampant than ever. Online safety laws being put in place to control people under the meek guise of protecting kids. A genocide killing tens of thousands of people. And generative AI becoming more and more widespread. In these times, I often look to the heroes of the media I consume for comfort, knowing that they would never stand for all of these horrible things going on in the world. More than ever, kids need these heroes to show them what's right and what's wrong, that being themselves, being kind, and standing up for both themselves and others is the right thing to do. Otherwise, how can we ever hope to improve as a species if we can't even teach the right values to the next generation? And that's been my 4-year return anniversary video. This has been a topic I've been wanting to talk about for a good long while now, and it's one I honestly had a lot of fun writing. Rarely for my videos nowadays, it's actually given me some really solid ideas for future videos I want to work on, and if you want to see those notes, go check out my Patreon. It's just £2 a month, you get to see behind the scenes content like that, and early access to videos like this one. I know I haven't been posting a lot lately, but the support really does mean a lot, and long term, the support on Patreon would mean I could put even more time into my videos, and maybe even someday move out on my own and make a living off of YouTube. Even if you can't monetarily support me though, that's okay, I still appreciate the support from all of you valid peeps. Now before I go, I have a little announcement to drop. 4 years ago when I returned to this channel, I came out as a trans woman with she/her pronouns. A couple of weeks after going to Pride earlier this year though, I developed a new perspective on my gender identity. While my pronouns are still the same, I'm not really set on any labels for my gender anymore. I no longer consider myself to be a woman, though if you accidentally call me one, I won't take any offense, and I'm still good with being referred to with feminine terms. The same goes with my boundaries on certain masculine terms. My hair has undergone quite the transformation since Pride, but other than that, my presentation is basically unchanged. I think that's everything now though, so with all of that being said, I shall see every single one of you valid peeps next time!